Hello, everybody, and welcome back as we're getting ready for our second match of the day. FlyQuest Academy taking on Evil Geniuses Academy. Now, big story here. Of course, this is the second round robin now at the start of this week, so we do already have some insights into these two teams from the last time we saw them play against each other, Cubby. But a couple changes that have happened since then.
Yeah, no changes in terms of rosters, but just changes in how really FlyQuest has been able to come together. As the last time these two teams met, it was week 2, day 1. So FlyQuest's third series, and we still were seeing a lot of issues with UG just synergizing with the rest of the team. But in recent weeks, UG has really stepped up and improved his play, and FlyQuest has really started adapting their play style, I should say, to make sure that UG is comfortable, and that's been paying off big time.
Yeah, absolutely. UG's individual performance has looked so much better week over week. Not only just in his clear speed, his decision-making, but how the team is playing around him. He's playing around the team. Everything's actually starting to work together here, Magical, for FlyQuest. And it's cool because this is a team that last year had a lot of success in the summer. They were one of our top-performing organizations in Academy, and then very slow start to this year's spring.
I mean, they also have a very different look to their team this year. It's
True.
not exactly what we had seen in the previous year. They got new jungler, new mid lane. Philip came back over. Tomo Diamond coming from the LCS back into Academy. It's, there's a lot of different moving pieces on where everything is going to go, and we're saying that they are coming together. They are finally looking like a team, as Cubby was saying.
And they will be opposite of Evil Geniuses on the Rift today. So let's start talking about Evil Geniuses, another team that is, again, kind of hit or miss depending on their opponents, depending on the day. It feels like they have these insane highs, but they're lacking some of that consistency.
I don't know. I think they've been pretty consistent in the fact that we've mostly seen 1-1s from them, as it feels like just the EGA joke is like, all right, we just play for 1-1s. As I think that a lot of what we see out of EGA Academy is these aggressive, explosive early games. And when those pay off, EG can look great. When they don't, things can look ugly as they try and play their way back in. And you know what? In Academy, we're okay with that. We like when teams, that get outscaled, throw down, and try and save the game for themselves. We kind of saw 100 Thieves do that in the last game. And I think that the key word, though, for EG is just a lot of that consistency. And I'm really looking at the members in the jungle and support, Tomio and Skytech. I think that Super Week, you play that extra series. If you have a tough week, we get more data from it. I think that they both had a little bit of a tough week last week. Really want to see if they can bounce back and be those talented players that we know they can be.
And on the note of junglers, you mentioned Tomio already going up against UG from FlyQuest. That's the head-to-head that we really wanted to highlight going into this match, because we feel like FlyQuest, a lot of their success is going to hinge off of UG's individual performance here. And again, Magical, we can see based on the recent tape that it has been improving.
And a lot of it, you talked about explosive play from EG, but UG has had some explosive plays himself. How he sets up his team, he plays for these early games, the Kiana plays, that Lee Sin kick, a lot of this has been incredible to see out of this player. And that is one thing that Diamond had talked about in his recent interview when we had him on. He talked about UG and how this player is nuts. This guy is so good and he's learning so fast.
And FlyQuest overall going 3-3 on the Super Week. They had 6 games, 3 best of 2s, and they were able to turn around a lot of their fortunes because they were on a pretty long loss streak there leading up into Super Week. So fortunes could be turning for FlyQuest Academy. Now on Evil Genius' side, Tomio in the jungle position. Cubby, talk to me about this matchup because, again, he'll have to go against UG, who we see as kind of peaking right now.
Yeah, I think that Tomio, he's someone that, he ended up in Academy just because he's always had such a high solo queue rank. He is a freaking solo queue. He's able to play the Evelyn, the Nidalee, some of these really aggressive champions like no one else can. But I think that this year, as Tomio's kind of transitioning into Academy, we've seen some good moments from him where we see some of those mechanics shine, and some others where he maybe forces plays that he feels like should be set plays, but just hasn't been able to call them off, and that's put him really far behind in some of these games. So we're looking for more consistency out of Tomio. We know that he's someone that has mechanics and can play the carries like no one else can in Academy when it comes to some of these champs like Evelyn. Obviously, we have Malice in the league, but, I'm a fan of Tomio's Evelyn as well, if anyone is maybe prepping for that. And I think Tomio's a player that a lot of potential, just need to see him start to mature a bit in this role that does require a lot of veterancy to be good at the high level.
Yeah. And jungle is where we'll keep our eyes for the most part here. I also want to give a small shout out to the top lane. Philip versus Surdy will be a fun matchup. I hear that Surdy's been preparing by listening to the Doom soundtrack leading into today, so I think we'll have a bloody one. But I'm hearing that Pick and Ban is also ready, so I'm going to pass it back to just the two of you to get us into game 1 of our second series.
Thank you, Kangas. Again, always good having you. We look forward to the halftime show, but we got to get through this game first. I think that I like that Surdy is listening to the Doom theme song, getting ready. He's getting pumped. You know me. I like action. I like aggression. I want fights.
This is elite inside info. We're getting what soundtracks players are listening to prep. That's gotta be something new that we haven't had before. But I know that in the pre-show, I was kind of looking for better looks out of Tomio and Skytech because I think they had a tough Super Week. Surdy had an amazing Super Week. This guy, I know that he got shut out by Dokla in the last series, but he's not alone. To be fair, Dokla has been shutting out every top winner he's gone up against. Surdy played really, really well last week, and I know that with the addition of Champions Queue, he's actually sitting very high up in that ladder as well. He's a solo queue superstar. I mean, he's been rank 1 Oceanic. He's hit high rank on the Korean server in NA as well. We know, much like Tomio, this guy has really good mechanics in hands, and it's really fun watching him start to mature into his role in top lane. We're just looking for his teammates to kind of do the same, and for EG to continue to level up and become a more consistent team.
But at the moment, they've locked in Jinx for Cowrie first. But a pretty safe first pick for their side. FLYA to be the answer for Tomo. Diamond doesn't have access to that Thresh this time, one of his best champions, but the Blitzcrank is what I have my eyes on because I do love seeing that champion, as well as Yuji and Kiana. You might be hovering the Lee Sin, but we saw last week, the first day of the Super Week, absolutely demolished on that Kiana. Then it got permanently banned the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, now it will be the Lee Sin, which is now going to be his most played for the season.
I wanted Kiana.
Yeah, Yuji. We keep on talking about solo queue superstars. I feel like if you don't know this yet about Yuji, he's one. I think he's the only professional player from Mongolia, and the reason I say that is because Yuji's very proud of that. He likes to remind you, but also he hit the he was on the Ionian server playing at 150 ping and doing well. This guy, now that he's on this ping environment, we're really excited to see what he can do.
So not only that, he was able to get Challenger in the Ionian server, the super server for China. He was able to do that for Europe, for the EU West. He was able to do that for North America.
Top 5 last year in spring. Yeah.
All with, 100, 200 ping each time. Absolutely insane player. And so on this Lee Sin, he's given a lot of agency. He's given a lot where he can try to win out this early game. And Spyrex grabbing the Silas into the Twisted Fate for Soligo also has that ability to tag team with him and move around.
And as we start to dive into this pick band, EG, a Twisted Fate comp from the looks of things. We got the gold card. We have a Jinx. Can play off that. Looking for EG to play out this fight slow. Whereas on the side of FlyQuest, this Lee Sin Silas can be a very explosive mid-jungle duo. And it's a different look for Spyrex because FlyQuest, they've won 6 games so far this season. 5 out of those 6 games, Spyrex has been on Victor.
Yeah.
And so I want to see if Spyrex himself can continue to grow in his first boot of Academy. Soligo, one of the better mid laners that we have here, taking this counter pick and playing through mid is what looks to be the plan for the side of FlyQuest. I want to see if FlyQuest can show that they have started to pick up more strategies, started to diversify more of their gameplay, and try and go for this as we get back into these bans. Of course, top laners being taken away, and we could actually see a top lane. I don't expect a top lane blind, but it sure looks like they're setting up for something like a Jace.
That's what I was thinking too. I was looking at what could possibly be picked up here for Philip. The Camille, the Tryndamere, Bandit Way, Tom Kench, and Braum on the other side to hit the supportive pool of Diamond. But with what FlyQuest have already set up, I'd almost expect them to grab it right away, because even if you grab your support, that's probably more than likely we just see Surdy taking that away so that they're not going to give Philip something strong.
It is curious, and I honestly would like Alistar quite a bit here.
No, Blitzcrank, come on. He's picked it every time I haven't cast him.
You can't play Blitzcrank into Leona Mad Magical.
I don't care what you can and can't do, Cubby. I just want it. You talked about wants and needs earlier. This is my want.
All right, that's fair enough. But it is going to be the need in the Rakan that ends up winning out on the day. We have melees to tag along with. Rakan does go up in priority for me. And now with all this CC, we talked about Tomio looking maybe to get back into some of that form that he was in the last split, you know, trying to kind of bounce back, start to put up some better games numbers. He is a great Olaf player, and this is a comp that Olaf, having that unstoppable into Lee Sin, Silas, Rakan, if you get ahead early, Olaf does have the potential to run this game.
I'm looking at what can be picked up top lane to help back up Tomio. Surdy gets Graves. The Jace is available, so I'd expect that to be the match for the top lane. Graves into Jace, 30 versus Philip.
Could get wild and see a Mel fight if, you know.
We could.
I'm trying to lean into you, you know, getting wild. Wukong, not a great option in the Twist of Fate.
No.
It is a fill-up special. Or could be the Renekton.
Aatrox.
Not this game. Not the TF Jinx, man. That'd be terrible.
Aatrox?
Oh!
Aatrox?
Oh, no. Okay.
All right.
Wow, I teased out that I don't like the Aatrox, and here it comes. All right, so Philip, he is 2-0 on the Aatrox. Now, I think that where Aatrox might struggle in this one is Jinx, TF, a lot of range that gets packed. So if they are able to keep Aatrox at range, things can get difficult for the Aatrox, but FlyQuest have a lot of threats on their side. EG, they're going to have to now deal with another in this Aatrox, and if he's able to get melee range, if he's able, or if EG overextends, I should say, into FlyQuest, and Aatrox is able to get those sweet spots going, get that healing going, we've seen what Philip's Aatrox can do, and he's going to try and do it again in this one, but I am concerned if he's ever going to be able to get off the ground. So I'm curious to see how UG plays around that, because if EG wanted to, they could send 3 top on the third wave and really give Philip a tough time. So I want to see if FlyQuest are able to play defense around the play like that, and can make sure this Aatrox doesn't get dreadfully far behind early.
It's funny, though. I look at this composition for FlyQuest, and it is, we are ditching you, Tomo. You're on your own, kid. They're just going to run straight past him, and he's going to have an Olaf on top of him from Tomio, and hopefully he's going to be able to kite that back. It just, to me, I look at this, and it is the have fun on your own, Tomo. And usually it's the other way around. You're trying to protect your AD carry.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we can, you know, have the burstier version of Aphelios this game, as it is going to be press the attack. We've seen a lot of marksmen make use of the Gale Force in the press the attack to try and get these big upfront damage trades where they can try and either chunk out the enemy AD enough where they can't fight, or where they can make use of that short trading pattern so you can kind of retreat for the rest of the fight. Something that Tomo is going to be doing a lot of in this one.
That he will. He's going to have to do his best to kite back away from Tomio, especially on Olaf. I actually even like the Olaf pick more than just it being on Tomio, right? The fact of how it can play into something that wants to gank early, his skirmishing potential into Lee Sin, is why we used to see a lot of Olaf against Lee Sin. The Trundle would then replace the Lee Sin, so you'd have that into Olaf to be able to match him. But it's one of those plays that gives Tomio, one of these players that we were highlighting, a lot more agency in the early game.
And it's something that, I mean, Olaf's able to full clear, funnel resources into him. It could be a big plan for EG, as they do have early tools to try and deal with this melee dog pile coming out from FlyQuest. We're going to have to see if EG can execute upon that as we dive into Game 1 of our second set, Week 5 in Academy.
Starting off the second part of the round robins as well. At a 1-1 before. Evil Geniuses, they could live up to that moniker that they gathered for themselves last year of being the kings of 1-to-1s.
Hold on.
FlyQuest.
Hold on.
They've gone for something a bit cheeky. They weren't spotted out at all.
Diamond can W over this wall, and they can try and get a setup on the Tomio if they want to get wild.
They definitely could. They got all 5 members here.
They're
And we all know how I like level 1 shenaniganeries. Gonna be UG spotted out first. They didn't go over the wall, so Tomio will be able to back out pretty safely.
Will be 1 ward on the blue buff, so FlyQuest can try and see where Tomio does start. And now Tomio on this Olaf. You can full clear and contest the crab. That is something that Lee Sin cannot do. And what Lee Sin can do in this matchup is try and find you during your full clear. And Tomio was not able to pick up a sweeper, so he's going to try and utilize that late trinket well. And it looks to be a mirrored start from each of these junglers, which is going to be good for the Olaf, because it's tougher for Lee Sin now to go cross-map and punish, and Olaf will have mid-priority early from the Twist of Fate. So I think it's a good setup for Tomio, and I expect him to just zoom through this first clear.
And he will easily be able to. The one thing, though, is where does he go first? Does he actually try to go for a play topside, since you talked about putting Phil behind on Aatrox? I actually expect UG, level 2, get these Krugs, top lane immediately.
That could be interesting option from Yuji. I am not expecting that. I think he's just going to take his topside camps and then go do the blue buff. But it's weird because I don't think Yuji is going to be able to contest this bot crab. And
No.
I think that's where I'm interested to see how FlyQuest is able to adapt. And this is a different look from FlyQuest because when I see this composition, I see him trying to hit a mid-game spike really hard. We've seen FlyQuest get most of their success playing these scaling compositions and doing well throughout the game. In the early game, at least trading and trying to lose gracefully and then utilizing their scaling to win later team fights. So this is a much different look from FlyQuest, and I want to see if they've maybe worked on this in their off week, or I should say the week break, to try and level up some of their early game plays and try and get this lead into EG.
I actually am seeing UG now pathing towards the bottom half of the map, so you were right. Not going to look for the play. Kind of just expected to try to get Philip in a great spot, but Spyrex getting the flash out of Soligo, nearly solo killing him at level 3.
Really well done by Spyrax, as he is very far ahead in this lane. Usually we see Twisted Fate go for something like a 2-wave crash, and now Soligo.
Spyrex just got a solo kill him under the turret. Okay, I did not think that you would be able to get that. Thought the gold card would come out in front of Spyrex, but he was able to get it.
Oh, man, so Spyrax just breaks this game open. Now, it's not going to be a huge consequence for anyone but Soligo, but if you're the Twist of Fate in this matchup, you're supposed to keep Silas down early, because Silas scales into this matchup. He needs a couple levels in that Kingslayer in order to make sure that he's set up for success. Spyrax is able to find this kill on the 3rd wave, so now he just gets to walk back. He has a TP advantage. He has the flash off of Soligo. And we talked about the mid-jungle kingdom from Spyrax and Yuji. That is what you can do with Lee Sin Silas, and I want to see if FlyQuest are going to be able to execute upon it, because on his own, Spyrax has gotten a huge lead for FlyQuest.
We might have talked a lot about Yuji before the game in the pre-show, but Spyrex is one of these players that I've been having my eyes on for consistently playing better and better each and every series. He has looked like he has just learned so much in his time here on FlyQuest. You compare week 1 Spyrex to week 5 here, it is a completely different beast.
And speaking of that first move from Yuji, you want to see him go top. Here we go.
Was a nice dodge
Good
away
flash.
from Surdy to get away from everything that FlyQuest had tried to pour into the top lane.
And a really nice flash from Surdy as well. Now, Surdy, a little bit of a mistake. He held on to 2 trinkets there. So because of that, does drop it late and will lose his flash as well. But at least Yuji able to find a little something, as in this matchup, it is on the Lee Sin to make sure that you're making plays early, because Olaf is able to just full clear. He can become a problem in the later stages of the game, and that's exactly what Tomio is doing early. As you can see, he's already headed to his Raptors on that second clear. He's feeling good on the Olaf at the moment.
Sun came in on the Diamond from Skytech. They kite back towards the turret. Tomo and Diamond, a seasoned bot lane that has played quite some time together. Still getting a lot of control. This is where FlyQuest, they have so many different moving parts, and we talked about that earlier. But they have a lot of players that are either newer or they've been together for some time. You can see the synergy between Diamond and Tomo, as every time Diamond wants to go in, Tomo is usually there to back him up.
I'll just get the crash. Should be able to reset. Maybe can contest its second crab, but it's still Tomio wrapping up that second full clear. You can see he has the most CS in the game on the Olaf. And we'll have to see where Tomio makes his first move. EG is actually sticking around in this bot lane. If Tomio's able to sneak in here, they got to get that creep out of the way. Then he can enter that brush.
There it
So
is.
he's able to do so successfully, and now here we go.
Skytech's not getting the Zenith Blade, but they get
no.
the cleanse regardless. Tomo's got to be careful.
UG.
Flash away with a lot of damage onto Skytech. Here's UG showing up perfect time for the team. Getting a lot of damage onto the members of EG with the Destiny Gate open up.
Silas.
Direct UG combo.
It's
They're all
Silas.
here. They've gotten what they needed to with a kill onto one, but they trade the life of Spyrex, who was too low to start the fight initially. Now they got to flash away just to survive.
And a heck of a skirmish. It seems to be somewhat continuing. Should not after this gold card, but Spyrax does go down, but it still is FlyQuest coming out on top. And I think it's Skytech. If you want to go for this play with Tomio, I think that you got to commit that flash early. He does it later after the Zenith Blade misses. And because they weren't able to chain that CC, because they weren't able to chain that first axe off of the initial play from the Ona, it buys time for Spyrax to come down and respond. Now, they do trade him out, but still, I think it's a little bit of a mistake from the side of EG as we see this Skytech, of course, flashing in after the Zenith Blade doesn't connect. Tomo, plenty of space to get out as EG, once again, something that I teased earlier. It feels like Tomio sometimes when he's in the right spot at the right time, EG have just been forcing plays. This is a good example of it here where they didn't quite have it set up. They had the right idea, but not the perfect setup.
That is the issue with the Sylas versus Twisted Fate. You might be able to steal the Destiny Gate, but it is still Twisted Fate who has that as well and can follow you just as effectively. There's a good punish from the side of EG. The fact that they trade Skytex Light for Spyrex, in my opinion, is a big win. It's netted them a little bit more control back onto the map.
And even though Spyrax did go down, you can still see he has a lead in the mid lane, and Diamond's trying to help him pull this wave, which puts a lot of pressure onto Soligo, who has to walk up and be threatened by Sylas at all points. As now, EG, they're going to send 3 to fix this wave state, so now Tomio has to show too.
A lot shown there, just to make sure they can undo the freeze of FlyQuest. Gives a little bit of opportunities to look for plays from FlyQuest, but UG was hanging around just clearing out his own jungle. With that time allotted to the side of EG, they've been pushing up. They even have a potential to go for that dragon with the fact that bot lane is crashing towards Tomo. Mid lane Soligo is able to push in towards Spyrex.
Now, because UG did show, Tomio's actually going to go for the Gromp, so trying to get ahead of this Lee Sin. And we'll be able to successfully take this one away, but does have all of his bot camps up, and might get a weird map state where UG and Diamond looking for control over this bot river. Now Diamond.
Undertow connects. He's got the battle dance towards UG if needed. There he goes, getting himself out of dodge, but Evil Geniuses still lord their supremacy over the Dragon Pit.
And this is what you want to do with an Olaf. You get that bot lane priority, make sure these early dragons are falling. 8:30, honestly a little bit late, as I think the initial game plan for EG was to make sure that first bot lane gank worked out. They could pick up the dragon on the back half. Because FlyQuest did throw a wrench in that plan, to slow down the game a little bit in their favor, and we'll have to see if FlyQuest maybe looks to contest on this topside Rift Herald, because there are strong members at the moment. It is Spyrax and UG is okay.
Gold card had already come out. That's a lot of damage from Spyrex onto Soligo. The flash comes in from Pillow to get the undertow. He's got Ragnarok for Ragnarok pop, but it's still the axe that slices down the hijacker, but they got the kick in from UG. He should die to the turret regardless.
Okay, so talked about plays being forced. UG trying to force a little bit too hard there as well. As
Philip, we're getting a lot of things forced from both teams there. Force of ult in the top lane, flash from Philip, but Surdy was able to kite it back nice.
I feel like Philip felt like he had to go for that to maybe prevent EG from taking this Rift Herald, but Surdy's able to get out. No flash burn on his end, so he wins out on that trade. And that's the free Rift Herald going over to EG off of that mid-jungle duo. And good to see Tomio. I know Olaf, definitely something that's comfort for him, but really good to see him having a good performance on this pick. As I know that first play didn't quite go his way, but his response to it, the recovery from EG on the map, it's been good.
It has. And now they're able to get the Rift Herald for themselves, deny that to FlyQuest, and plop that in the mid lane if you want to help out Soligo a little bit more over Spyrex. But honestly, I feel like Evil Geniuses have a lot of time to kill where they can pretty much just sit back and relax and don't need to force any issues at the moment.
Yeah, I like this from EG's bot lane, too. They know their weak side. They know that the Olaf's not going to be around to Krugs in a while, so might as well just take it for yourself and rotate it out so that camp becomes more valuable down the road. It's EG's bot lane trying to make the best use of their time, and so be able to catch this wave because UG was up towards the top side, seeing if they can get into that Rift Herald. Tomio did take that away, and still a big lead over to EG in this early game. That's what you want to do when you have Olaf, right? Get this game rolling. And that first play bot didn't work out, but the recovery from Tomio, it's been beautiful. And now EG, it is even in gold, but it feels like this Olaf is ahead in tempo, and they're able to make the first move.
Looking at the items getting completed now. We're getting some full items at the moment. Surdy, first recall, well, not first recall, but first item completed is Hullbreaker. Even if he's down a little bit to Philip, here's how this will do if it's a similar kind of state to when you buy it against Tryndamere.
The item's just a problem in the 1v1. It gives you so many free stats and makes your wave stronger. And on a champion like Graves, where you can just kind of stat check with armor, be ranged, and be a bully, and make sure you have control over the wave, it's just really tough to deal with. So you can see Surdy utilizing this spike to make sure he gets a plate on that last reset. And we'll see if Philip decides to match or go towards that Gore Drinker first, which is more standard on the Aatrox.
I'd expect that. I don't expect to see the Hullbreaker come in from Philip, at least not right away. Just depends on how he does into the matchup against Graves. But all in all, it is a patient map at the moment for the two teams. We know that Evil Geniuses, they have a lot of tools still left. with Tomio holding on to that eye. Curious as to exactly where he wants to pop it.
So, couple options. I think that you got to throw it in your big carry and Cowrie in this bot side on the Jinx.
Interesting.
As I don't really see another good location for that Herald. And the other option would be mid, but you can't really take that tower. And FlyQuest, their composition as a whole does lack wave clear as this game goes on. So I think that the fact that EG broke that mid-jungle kingdom from UG and Spyrax early, that really felt like the win condition for FlyQuest. Beating that Twisted Fate, keeping him from going to side lanes. Now that that's been broken by the side of EG, we're going to see it be a lot harder for FlyQuest to operate. Now Tomio trying to use that advantage.
Tomio stat checking Yuji at the moment, even with Gore Drinker trying to heal back up. It's going to be the kill for Tomio. Spyrax doing his damnedest to fight back as well, but he has to wait out the cooldowns. Here's Diamond. Quickness pop. Looks for Saligo. Flashed on top of him. Lots of damage abound. It's going to be Destiny Gate opened up by Spyrax. Interesting call to be able to get him to go gold, but that's a lot of damage coming in from Tomio because SkyTech rotated up. Make sure they can get a 2-for-1.
And the match from SkyTech is what makes that play go in favor for EG, as a couple interesting stopwatches to stall things out that actually bought time for SkyTech to get involved. He makes sure the play goes in EG's favor, as now Tomio, it's just the funnel Olaf strat, man. He wants those plates for himself.
Yeah, and that's why I expected to see the Rift Herald pop mid lane. It might not be the easiest thing to actually clear out the minion waves on either side, but getting a little bit more control for Saligo so he can move around the map, also getting all that gold for Tomio, this is huge.
And you can see Olaf. So it's Gore Drinker versus Gore Drinker right now, but when he bases, Olaf's going to be zooming. As top side, both these...
Well, let's get back to live, because there we go.
Okay.
Philip, pop the World Ender, dodges away from collateral damage. Not very much mana for Surdy. That's a heal and a half for Philip with the Darkened Blade. Slams down on a Surdy.
A little bit of a 1v1 skill check. Philip ends up on top, and now he has empowered TP. So if he bases, he could get involved in this second dragon. As EG looks like they're trying to utilize the power of the Olaf to sneak it right now. But Philip, if he bases, he wouldn't have ult, but he has flash and TP.
They've got a lot of lockdown onto Spyrax. They're trying to jump on top of him on the other side, but Tomo is fighting with Cowrie.
Oh, no,
It's the ADC for ADC. They might have gotten kills in the backline, but look at the kills for Tomo, taking down Cowrie. FlyQuest are now winning it out. That's a triple kill for UG.
We talked about playing too fast for EG, and them forcing the dragon when they're down a member when Philip can respond. They go for the play. They don't win out on it. Surdy even TP'd back to that top lane, and it's just EG not quite in sync, not quite able to cash in on this early game, as the Olaf wasn't able to be supported when he went this far deep.
And we take a look at this replay, right? My eyes were drawn to Tomo and Cowrie's 1v1.
So on the top side, it's just Saligo, like the Twisted Fate, when you're not playing with Jinx damage, the Lee Sin Silas just wins in the all-out brawl. I know that Olaf is as strong as he is, but it feels like with where Spyrax is at on this Silas, I know that he's now went down 4 times, but every single play attempt that EG has made on this pick, Spyrax has at least been able to trade out, at least been able to get something back. And in a sloppy back and forth early game amongst both these teams, that's a big play where it now feels like FlyQuest, they stop the dragon stacking, and they now have a leg to stand on as UG.
Destiny Gate's been opened up by Saligo. Looking for the gold card. They got a root already with the rock body blocked by Cowrie. It's still a kill for Tomio all the same.
That's good setup and response, as of course the port was not used for that last play. Saligo was already there, and just textbook, right? Twisted Fate, make the fast play, do it before FlyQuest can respond. EG gets something back. And
getting the kill onto UG is huge too. That's shutting down the ability to rotate around the map to try to see if you can gain control over this top half that we're seeing from Evil Geniuses at the moment, but that's sacrificing a lot on the other half. Good answers are abound here by FlyQuest.
And now, I mean, we're at an even gold stake game. I want to see if EG can maybe bounce back and try and make some more plays on the side lane with Tomio. As Tomio still 3-1 and 3 Olaf, working on that death stance. He's going to be a menace at 2 items as well. If he's able to sync up with Saligo, I think that's where EG can continue to find these skirmishes and try and push ahead. And they have to keep on doing this to try and isolate UG and Spyrax, because this duo combined it still feels like in this draft, they're going to be the playmakers. They're going to be the ones going in trying to make the plays. And if they get ahead and are able to pull that off, that's what can break EG and what they want to do.
With this Rift Herald too, FlyQuest going to have a good position to try to crack another turret. They got the bot lane already. Got the gold too for Spyrix on this Silas. He's feeling pretty confident. Same with Tomo and Diamond blowing up poor Cowrie.
And a mistake from Cowrie, just not respecting the Gale Force and the guns from Tomo and Diamond. I love how Diamond's hiding in fog. And that's a nice comeback for FlyQuest. Not only do they get that kill in the mid lane, they also picked up the Rift Herald.
Right, so get a pick mid lane onto the ADC. You've got the Rift Herald for Yuji. Even if Tomio and Surdy have now goon squatted up and are invading FlyQuest jungle, FlyQuest have a lot of opportunity to look for these plays, to force out these members, because Philip, right behind, looking for the Dark Blade to be able to connect onto any member of Evil Geniuses. The follow-up is, there's the kick on to SkyTech, but you forgot about Tomio. He was able to get out over the ward hop, with Philip now taking a lot of damage. Rocket goes just barely wide, but here's the gold card, flashed away by Philip. He's on the other side, but he's not rooted by the Everfrost. He's taking a lot of damage and still somehow holds on.
Oh, that's important, because now at least FlyQuest can get back and contest that bot river as we prep for Dragon. In the meantime, Surdy continues to try and get himself back in this game, back a little bit further ahead on the Graves. And it's been an interesting game, because it feels like EG, every play they make, they're a little bit behind, where FlyQuest has the response, but on the map, EG are still the ones getting shoves and sides. And if they survive engages like that from FlyQuest, they're going to be getting ahead from the resources, and that's why we're seeing a rather even game. FlyQuest have been winning the fights just by a little bit. EG winning the side lanes just by a little bit with how they're playing out and crashing those waves. And now we're going to see what ends up happening at this next Dragon, because it feels like both teams really want to fight this next one. It is Infernal Soul on the Rift, and we'll see if EG can get a better setup and play around the Jinx a bit better this next time around.
Tomio wants to clear out that control ward. Cowrie, SkyTech nearby as well. But here's Saligo. He's got the wraparound. Gold card. Connects on to Tomo. He's still alive, but just barely. Trying to cut back the best he can, but they're going to be able to root up SkyTech and give a killing spree over to Tomo the entire time, with Philip now popping World Ender, chasing down Cowrie. Not going to be able to connect anything until he's pulled back in with Infernal Chains, and he's finished off by Philip. Tomio won against the world. Ragnarok abound, but he couldn't do the damage necessary to be able to take anyone with them. And now it's Surdy's turn. He goes in. He goes out. Gold card onto one. That's a little bit of damage onto Diamond, but not going to be enough to be able to kill any member of FlyQuest.
And they're going for the play before Surdy has access to TP, so he wasn't able to join until he did. And EG, once again, SkyTech just goes in a little bit too deep. They can't follow up. FlyQuest stay more grouped up. Philip able to punish the overextension really well. That's what Aatrox does as a champion so well. And now EG, another Dragon where they're fighting back into this one, where we still feel like they could be at an advantage if they played together.
Cowrie has a rocket, though. Could just go for the YOLO rocket. Engage onto Sligo on the other side. Huge heal coming in from Philip. They got the Dragon secured as well. FlyQuest, they've got what they need to, but they got to be careful. They got to still escape from this one. Surdy got a lot of damage. They couldn't hit anything on top of him, but it's going to be a gold card onto Phil with the Solar Flare going wide. It's a shutdown for SkyTech as Tomio continues to chase down Yuji. Undertow after undertow, axe after axe. FlyQuest are getting chopped down all the way back towards their turret.
SkyTech has ult. They're looking.
Oh, nice kill force though from Tomo to be able to get away from Tomio, and they will survive.
All right, deep breath, man. Magical. This has been started to emerge into a rather wild game from EG, but I think the big difference in that fight was how Sadiga was able to play that in the 3v5. The port to the other side of the fight to help support Surdy and make sure that Tomo was at least forced out, even though they didn't take his life. That's what gets EG a little bit of a gold lead, is now UG and Spyrax looking to sync up. Sligo a bit wiser to it. And it's been a wild game. Whenever we have a mid laner at like 135 CS in Academy at the 21-minute mark, you know a lot of action's taking place.
Oh yeah, they're constantly button heads with one another, trying to see who's going to rotate first, especially because as Spyrax can just steal the ult from Sligo, allows him the same mobility that Sligo has. But in the meantime, it's a little bit of a gold lead for the side of Evil Geniuses. In fact, they've been able to get a lot of those structures that we talked about. They've gotten every single one of the tier 1s. While on the other side, there's still a lot of gold that's left up by FlyQuest that they can grab as long as they're able to make some plays happen.
They do still have those two outer turrets on the top side of the map to take down. Mid now rather low after Shelby's crash. And I still think for EG, like, they're the ones pulling the trigger. They're the ones finding most of these engages. It just has to be clean when you go up against a team with Aatrox. Because if it's not, we've seen what Philip and Spyrax can do on the back half of these fights.
I was about to say, not just an Aatrox,
Yeah.
Stylus as well. But even looking at Cowrie on this Jinx against Tomo, Kraken Slayer and Phantom Dancer hasn't been enough to be able to take down his opponent.
And as time goes on in this game, FlyQuest are going to be able to pick up more items and more ways to deal with this Twisted Fate. As you can see, Zanya's completed for Spyrax. That's going to enable him to play a little bit further up. Death's Dance looks to be coming in for both Aatrox and Lee Sin. Make them a little bit tankier dealing with these gold cards. And it's still going to be on Cowrie to kind of keep on outputting the damage and keep on playing around these gold cards. Something that EG hasn't done the best work of in this game. And I think it's still what I'm looking for in these team fights to be the big difference for EG if they want to try and win these in one of a wipe.
But at the moment, FlyQuest are the ones getting a little bit of the upper hand on all the movements, kind of stringing along Evil Geniuses towards where they want to be on the map. The only lane that's not really being strung out by FlyQuest is the bot lane. Surdy getting a good push. The fact that he's completed his Mythic, Ball Breaker as well. Philip is struggling to actually combat Graves.
And I like this tech for the Eclipse. I know that Shieldbow saw some nerfs, and you can see Surdy making good use of this.
Yeah, he's doing a lot more damage to Philip than the other way around.
Flash.
Even though the flash was there from Philip, he took a hell of a beating.
The red buff onto Surdy helping out with that too is that we have a Rocket.
Rocket.
I don't think it would have been enough to kill Philip.
Neither do I.
A little bit close, a little bit tense. As once again, that play FlyQuest made after that third dragon, I should say, with Philip not being able to connect with those kills. That's what got Surdy back into the game. That's why he is now up in item with the Eclipse in his inventory. With some heal cut too. Seeing Philip struggle a little bit more in the side lane. And EG, with the Twisted Fate, they can really attack that if they end up playing it clean.
Do you see what I see in the inventories of Evil Geniuses at the moment? I'm specifically looking at Tomio.
Oh.
Yes, a nice Elixir of Wrath there.
Ooh.
I'm glad you noticed. I saw that too. And that's an interesting buy. 500 gold, you know, a couple minutes of more attack damage and a little bit more healing with that as Lifesteal and Omnivamp. But still, it gives this Olaf a little bit more that he can do when it's a skirmish that's going to happen soon, unless they just lose Surdy in this top lane because they've already got the rotations in with a TP too. Surdy, he might be pretty tanky with the help of the Hull Breaker, but unfortunately when 3 members are on top of you, you got to do a lot to be able to kite away, and it's just not going to be enough to be able to survive.
Oh no, Saligo!
Oh, I thought he made it out. I thought the shield was enough. That came in from that lock-in of Iron Solari, and now with 2 members dead on the side of EG, the FlyQuest have started up the Baron.
And they just wanted to fight, yeah.
Yeah, they just want to fight. They've got the pick in the back line, but they've lost Diamond before they had the TP completed by Spyrax, and they're still getting kited back. With the kick coming in on to Tomio, he flashed away. Rocket connects, and we got Cowrie excited, kiting back the best he can, but now the 1v1 again. It's going to go over to Tomo. He's been able to win each one of these duels. Well, Philip against 2. He's doing a great damn job. Dodges away from the Solar Flare, shuts down 1, shuts down 2.
And EG just get picked apart as they were trying to set up the dragon, and they commit to trying to match the cross map from FlyQuest. And FlyQuest, they were ahead on the play. They end up sending 3 top. Saligo gets caught out in transition, and everything falls apart for EG as FlyQuest pick up the fight and pick up the dragon.
And that is a nice play from FlyQuest. How long this was kited back, I actually got a little bit worried since Cowrie was doing a good job of kiting back himself.
Cowrie almost turned this as Yuji kicking the Olaf a bit too aggressive, and really the big difference here is that press the attack on Tomo and the fact that he was holding on to the red gun, because he was just able to walk straight at the Jinx. He's a little bit it was pretty close in items, but Tomo now sitting at 5-0-2, almost that Infinity Edge. He is starting to get really scary, and I think that's why EG might have been pushing so hard to find that fight, because once this Aphelios does get IE, this is a full dive team from EG into an Aatrox and this Aphelios, and they have not been playing it slow with gold cards to respect that. So now we see EG really trying to force this Baron, and things are going to go wild.
Things are going wild. We're going to have a fight here in the bot lane, but we have a fight potentially around the Baron as well. was down to 50%, but EG, they saw the fight that happened because Philip knew that the TP play could have been there for Surdy, and this is their time to strike. They've got so much damage onto Tomio. He's still alive. Solar Flare on 2, though. That's going to be huge. Rocket comes out. They're going to be able to get kill on 1, kill on 2. Tomo, his damage. It's absurd. Triple kill for Tomo.
Tomo with the flanking of Felios just rips EG apart, and Mad Magical, that's going to be Baron. Going over to FlyQuest is this back and forth bloodbath. It just feels like FlyQuest, they're the team that wants to brawl with the Sylas, the Aatrox. EG have not been playing it clean enough to make sure that they're able to win these brawls, and FlyQuest have turned every play on its head as they continue to punish EG, and now will finally take a major lead in this game off the back of Tomo going legendary with that triple kill.
Tomo is saying you're not talking about me enough. We've been talking about every player but Tomo so far today. And this play, his positioning, you kind of talked about it. That's what really was critical for the side of FlyQuest. How much damage he was able to get in while still in the thick of it all.
I think it was good scouting from FlyQuest. I mean, they saw everyone, and Tomo says, I'm 5-0, right? I almost have an Infinity Edge. I have pressed the attack. If I get in range of this Jinx, there's nothing that Kaori can do. Tomo able to take him down. Good to see Tomo on this Aphelios. I know it's something that FlyQuest has been playing to success in their early season. Most of their wins have come off of Aphelios and early, and Tomo making work.
1v3 again. Even though Kaori's on the other side, he's able to jump over the wall. They don't follow it up. I expected to see a follow-up coming in from FlyQuest, but they decided to just not risk the play.
They have Baron. They're the ones that have the advantage on the map, so I can see FlyQuest trying to take a little bit slower. As still missing a few ultimates, but should be able to pick up this hot inner turret for free as Sligo matching on the top side, trying to net an objective bounty and trade something out, as I think it's intelligent at EG not to go and try and contest this. I think at this point of the game, until they get Infinity Edge on the Jinx, I don't think there's a fight that EG can win.
And that's the thing, is how does EG get back into this game? They're getting some objective bounties on their side.
Level 16.
Tomo is huge. Kaori on this Jinx is a full item behind at this point. Even though Tomio can easily go for this wraparound, he's got a flank with the Destiny Gate open up. Pyrex is still in mid lane. They've got a lot of damage, but Tomo and Diamond continue to kite this one back so they can re-engage. They've got damage onto the members of Evil Geniuses, and there's no turret to be able to defend them at all. They're getting damage onto Philip, waiting it out. Gold card 1, but the follow comes in with the change. They follow with a flash. It's Sky Tech who's getting focused first and taken down with Tomio following him into the grave. Zerdy's been locked down for so damn long. Finally finished up. Yuji's kick too is huge on a Kaori. Only Saligo will be left. This is FlyQuest time to fly.
FlyQuest, 24 kills for them in 29 minutes, as everything that EG threw at them, it just wasn't clean enough. They weren't able to sync up the right cooldowns on the right people, and FlyQuest punished at every single turn, every single corner. They ended up taking the first game in this best of 2.
Nicely done. This bounce back from FlyQuest in the season has been massive. Starting off with a huge slump at the beginning. Now in the past, 7 games that we've had, they are now 4-3. This is a big swing. Even if it's, barely above 50%, that is still a nice change.
And I think the way that they're doing it, Yuji doesn't look lost anymore. Because that is what Yuji looked like in the first 2 weeks of Academy. He now feels like he's integrated into this team. And FlyQuest won that game, making better team plays. This is a team that really struggled in those first 2 weeks, coming together, trying to figure out which targets they're going to pick, what timers they can make plays. That seems to be solved for the side of FlyQuest. And because of that, they're starting to put more wins on the board and looking quite a bit better doing it. But I also think that game, just how it went out, it felt like it was more mistakes being made by EG than it was just FlyQuest winning the game. I know that's partly the composition that FlyQuest drafted with the Aatrox and the Sylas. If people overcommit into you, you can turn on that really easily. Yeah. So I still want to give FlyQuest credit for that, but EG just still don't feel like they're quite in sync.
No. And we got to see if they're going to be able to bounce back, live up to the moniker, the 1-1 specialty. But for now, we're going to toss a break when we come back. Our halftime show with our host, Kangas. Make sure you stay tuned.